Knitcrate yarn and I love it. I really like this yarn, and it's let's see, Uru.yarn, and it's sugar worsted, and this color is called Wolves, and the yarn is 70% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 10% stellina, which is what makes it this glow. So pretty. So let's make a scarf with this beautiful yarn, and I'm casting on, long tail cast on, 34 stitches. So I still need 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the first row, we are going to knit the whole row. And so I will see you when I finish knitting this row so we can continue. On the Fisherman's Rib, which is what we're making, there's always 2 setup rows. The first row you knit, which we already made, and on the second row you are going to knit 1 and then knit on the stitch below. See that little triangle at the bottom of the stitch? Right there. So you're going to go in there and knit from the stitch below. And then you're going to purl 1. And so you're going to repeat this, knit from the stitch below and purl 1. So knit from the stitch below and purl 1, and you go like this all the way to the end of the row. Knit on the stitch below and purl 1, knit on the stitch below and purl 1, and I'll see you when I get to the end. Okay, I'm at the end of the second setup row, and I purled 1, and I go and knit on the stitch below and purl, and the last one you only knit, normal knitting. Okay, so my 2 setup rows are done, and you don't repeat that, they are just there. And now this is what you're going to repeat when you do your Fisherman's Rib. You're going to knit 1, the first one and the last one you always knit, and now you knit on the stitch below, on that little triangle there, that one there. So knit on the stitch below and knit, normal knitting. Now knit on the stitch below and knit normally, and then knit on the stitch below and knit on the next, knit on the stitch below, knit on the next, knit on the stitch below, knit on the next. Now I do recommend that you use a lifeline, because if you make a mistake with this stitch, it's a real mess to get them back on your needles. So use a lifeline, so if you make any boo-boo, you can come back to the lifeline and start from there. And so let's do all the way to the end. Knit 1, knit on the stitch below and knit 1, knit on the stitch, knit on the stitch below and knit 1, knit on the stitch below, knit 1, knit on the stitch below, knit 1, and so I can show you how to end. So knit on the stitch below, knit 1, and you knit the last one. The first one and the last one you always knit. And that's it. That's all there is to the Fisherman's Rib. But I will come back to tell you what to do with this scarf. So right now I have a square of 8 inches wide by 8 inches up, and that is going to be one section, and I'm going to start a section of ribbing on top of this because it's going to look like an hourglass. And you can see that I have a couple of lifelines going there. So what I do is just take the bottom one and pass it to the top. So I like to do that because it's a mess taking this stitch off. And let's go and do the ribbing. Now on this section we're going to do ribbing. And these are number 8 knitting needles, US. But I'm using a number 7 for the ribbing. So I am going to mark the stitch below, but please watch that I am going to knit the first one, and I'm knitting the stitch below because I don't want that bump to show when I'm doing the ribbing. So I'll knit on the stitch below and then purl. And knit on the stitch below and purl, knit on the stitch below and purl. And I'll do this row here so that you can see what the next row is going to look like. And purl. See, we're following that pattern, so knit the stitch below and purl, knit on the stitch below and purl, and this is going to look like an hourglass. It's going to be a very interesting scarf. So on the stitch below and purl. I remember we used to make capes with this stitch. Very interesting because it's nice and gives it a very nice effect. So it's stitch below and purl. Go on the stitch below, purl, go on the stitch below, purl, and knit. Okay, next row you're going to knit the knits and purl the purl. So that first one is a purl, so we're going to purl, and the next one is a knit, and that's what you're going to do for several rows. So purl, knit. So no stitch below now, it's just regular ribbing. Knit the knits and purl the purls, and I will be seeing you when I finish this section. So I did 10 rows of knit 1, purl 1 ribbing with number 7 knitting needles, and I am going to go back to number 8 knitting needles to continue with the Fisherman's Rib. So we are going to be repeating these two sections, and so remember it's 8 inches of the Fisherman's Rib and 10 rows of the regular knit 1, purl 1 rib. Okay, so let's go back to the Fisherman's Rib with number 8 knitting needles. You knit the first one and then go and knit on the stitch below. Knit 1 and knit on the stitch below. Knit 1, knit on the stitch below. Knit 1 and knit on the stitch below, and I will see you when I am a little bit more far ahead. did these two sections, which is the 8 inches plus the 10 rows of ribbing. I did this 4 times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I did 8 inches more, and after the 8 inches I am going to be binding off. So let's do that. Now I'm going to do a flexible bind off, but I'm going to continue with a Fisherman's Rib stitch while I bind off. So I'm going to knit the first one and then yarn over, and then I knit from the stitch below, and the yarn over goes over the last one, and the first one does too. So now I have one left. Yarn over and knit. The yarn over goes over the last one, and the first one does too. So yarn over, knit from the stitch below, the yarn over goes over the last one, and the first one does too. And then yarn over, knit the next one, the yarn over goes over the last one and the first one also. Yarn over, knit from the stitch below, the yarn over goes over the last one and the first one does too, and you continue with this stitch all the way to the end, and that's it. And I will take some pictures of this, and thank you very much for watching. Please share us with your friends and like our page and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.